Let me proceed.
お兄ちゃん、
Brother. Huh?
お兄ちゃん、
Brother. What is it, Sarah? It had been over 12 hours since Sarah started calling me brother. The swelling of Sarah's eyelids had just started to fade, but her eyes were still watered. About 12 hours ago, Sora had told us the truth. Even since seeing the hologram in the whale room, I had kind of sensed it. Sarah was my sister. Maybe I had already known it when I saved Sarah from the elevator. Maybe I had just pretended not to realize when in fact I really had. It was strange, but I didn't quite understand the details of my own mental state, because it almost felt like the person who had caused me to pretend was a me that wasn't really me. If that made sense. I knew I had to find out the truth from the moment I'd seen the pendant in the whale room, especially after I noticed it had a missing piece. I could tell Sarah felt the same way. I could tell Sarah felt. I didn't know from exactly what point she started wondering if I was her brother. Looking back on it, there were many times she might have hinted at it, but all those moments had seemed to me that she was half joking. The moment that everything came together was when I saw the image in the hologram, because I had been able to see something that nobody else could. But still, both Sarah and I weren't certain when we had been in the whale room. We needed definite proof. That was why we went to visit Sora even though it was late at night, to have her surgically remove the fragment from my thumb. Since Sora wasn't able to perform the actual operation, so we decided to wake up you. That's not quite, or that sentence is not quite right. At first, you had no idea what we were talking about, but as soon as she understood the situation, she willingly agreed to help. As we expected, the piece removed from my thumb had matched the missing piece in the pendant exactly. What's more, when we exposed the piece to infrared light, an image of the same man in the pendant came up. According to Sora, unlike a regular picture, a hologram shows the whole image in a part. With a picture, it would be impossible to see the whole. With a picture, it would be impossible to see the whole picture, with just one piece of it. But with a hologram, it was possible to generate the whole image, even from a tiny piece. That is one of the special properties of a hologram. Now, let me explain a little bit about infravision. Usually, the visible range for humans is limited to light with a wavelength between 380 nanometers and 780 nanometers. Yeah, and 780 is kind of hard to see. Light with a wavelength longer than 780 nanometers is called infrared. Normal humans can't see light in this range. If you were able to see infrared, you would be able to sense the temperature of an object without actually touching it. And with this ability, you could also see in the pitch dark even without any light. Infrared rays are emitted from all objects that have temperature. Stronger light is emitted from warmer objects, and weaker light from objects with a lower temperature. In all spectrums. By sensing those things, you can tell the location and shape of an object in the darkness. Surprisingly, Sar and I were told that we had the ability called infravision. Since we had this ability naturally, it was difficult for us to imagine not being able to sense the temperature or to imagine complete darkness. But I realized something then. That was why I noticed heat emanating from the generator room door, and that was why I had mistaken the light from the inverter unit as moonlight. That was why Sara and I were able to see the 3D image in the pendant, which nobody else could see. Why do we have this ability? I had no idea. Sora explained to us that it was a special ability passed on genetically. Genetics. This also meant it was highly possible that Sara and I had the same parents. That's when it became almost certain that Sara and I were brother and sister, but still something seemed to be missing. We took a DNA test with the repaired LMRI. The results showed that Sara and I were blood relatives with a 99.99999 certainty. That had proven everything. And when that happened, memories of my childhood started to flood back. They rocked me like an explosion. All of the memories that had been the damned up. That is a very unfortunate typo. That had been damned up flooded out at once. Their bombardment rendering me unconscious again. When I regained consciousness, Sarah was next to me. Sarah, my one and only sister. We were fraternal twins. I recalled the bittersweet memories of the days we had spent together.
お兄ちゃん、
Brother. Yeah?
お兄ちゃん。
Brother? Yes, Sarah. We hadn't slept at all since the day before. We had spent a long half day talking about all sorts of things. The memories of our childhood. Please don't recap. Then our time at the hospital was as well, of course. How I hadn't kept my promise, couldn't keep my promise. I had sworn to her that I would come to get her. Sarah and I took a long time going over and understanding all the details. There was too much to talk about. A half day was hardly enough to restore the missing time. But Sarah and I didn't need many words anymore. Brother, yes, Sarah. With just those words, we could understand each other. Sarah put her hand on my shoulder and closed her eyes gently. I sang her favorite lullaby. I'm not going to sing this. Especially because the syllable count's not going to line up. Moon sprite shouldering a longbow. Waiting inside a dream. Tonight a story by moonlight. Hoping the wait will be short. Sleeping curled and snug. Sleeping in mother's arms. Back to Takeshi. This is... Why is this not voice acted? Let me look at... check my... Something's up with my audio. Okay. And then... Does this work?
Coco、お歌上手だね。
Yeah, I somehow messed my audio up again. I don't know how. But anyway, you've got a great voice, Coco.
上手でしょ、上手でしょ。
I know I do, don't I?
その歌、初めて聞いたけど、子守歌かなんか？
I've never heard that song before. Is it a lullaby or something? I'm gonna backlog the whole thing, actually.
夢の中より待ち降りぬ
Okay.
長湯に背負いし月のせい夢の中より待ち降りぬ今宵柳つくよみ林早くこんかと待ち降りぬ眠りたもぬくと丸みて眠りたも母に抱かれて
Okay.
そう子守歌
Yeah, it's a lullaby.
ママが歌って聞かせてくれたの
My mom used to sing it to me.
じゃあココにとっての思い出の歌ってわけね
So I guess that song has a lot of good memories for you.
うん
No,
違うの
no, it doesn't.
この歌つい最近覚えたばっかりだから
No, I just learned this song.
そうなんだふーん
Oh, really? Their voices were coming from the kiosk. I went in. Hey, it's the CG from the intro.
たけぴょ
Oh, Takepyon. Bow wow.
ーん倉成どうしたの
Takeshi, what are you doing here? Oh, I just thought I'd see what you look like playing chicks. Yep, that was the reason I had gone searching for them and eventually wound up at the souvenir shop.
ひよこごっこだったらもうとっくに終わっちゃったよ
Oh, we finished playing that a while ago. What? No way.
ナッキュのひよこのモノマネすごーくうまくって
Nakyu was so good at it.
ここなんかよりもずーっとひよこっぽくって
Compared to me, she was so much more like a real chick.
ここびっくりしちゃった
I was just amazed.
やだーもうそんなにおだてないでよ
Oh, stop it. You're just trying to embarrass me with compliments.
おだててなんかいないよ
It's true.
本当に上手だったんだもん
You were really, really good. You, who had seemed so against the game to begin with, was embarrassed once she was complimented. What on earth was going on? Had she actually enjoyed the game? Speaking from the standpoint of someone who had experienced it, the game Chicks did seem to possess a kind of ritualistic demonic charm that could subdue the human ability to be rational. It seemed to me that you might have been possessed by that charm. Oh well, that wasn't important. What was important was somehow I had missed out on seeing a historical moment, Yu's wacky performance. It was truly unfortunate. Darn it. I mentally clicked my tongue. Why does Takeshi curse for real with his mouth, but then in his head he pseudo curses? So what are you doing now?
見ればわかるでしょ
You should be able to tell by looking at us. Coco and you were sitting face to face on the carpet. Pee-Pee had set his face on Coco's head. Between the two of them was a mountain of small, bead-like grains. A pin was stuck at the top of the mountain. A game of avalanche with a mountain of
正
sand?
解
That's right.
違うよナッキュ正解じゃないよ
No, Nakyu. That's not right.
え
What?
これは涙山崩し
This is a mountain of tears.
砂の山じゃなくて涙の山なんだから。
It's a mountain of tears, not sand. A mountain of tears. I sat next to them and pinched a single grain from the mountain. Oh, I remember. Coco was throwing these into the puddle at the ruins yesterday. Clear, colorless grain. They were formed in the shape of a drop of water. Glass tears. No, they weren't made of glass. I could tell by touching them. You never told me what they were yesterday, did you? So I guess I'll try again. What are they?
人魚の涙だよ。
They're mermaid tears. Mermaid tears? Coco closed her eyes and nodded. I don't care what you say, there's no way these are real mermaid teardrops.
あれあれ。
Oh yeah? Saying this, you pointed to the display racks of the souvenir shop. I stood up and walked toward where you had pointed. The racks were packed with different kinds of merchandise. Among all the stuff, there was a corner with kind of old-looking ceramic bottles. I picked up one of the bottles and looked at it. It was slightly bigger than the size of my palm and heavier than I had imagined. It felt solid in my hand. Printed on the label was Mermaid Tears. I looked at the bottom of the bottle. There was a round stamp on it. Contents: candy. Ingredients: sugar, corn syrup, acidifier, flavoring. I shook the bottle. I heard a dry, crisp sound. Pulling out the cork top, I poured some out on my palm. I poured too much, and some of them spilled from my hand to the floor. The mermaid tears bounced on the carpet as if they were dancing. I see. Holding the bottle in my right hand and teardrops on my left, I went back to where I had been sitting before and plopped myself down with a thud. So these mermaid tears are just some kind of souvenir?
Huh?
Yep. Let's see. Mumbling to myself, I popped all of the teardrops from my left hand into my mouth. I chomped down on them hard. The melting sweetness spread in my mouth. These are good. It had been a long time since I had tasted anything besides a chicken sandwich. I had heard somewhere before that eating sweets makes people feel happy. And at that moment, I was enraptured by the sweetness in my mouth. I think that is technically true up to a point. Like, it literally causes you to secrete dopamine. Oh my god. You shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna tell on you. Why? Is it because I'm eating them for free? Well, you are too, Coco. No. That wasn't what I meant at all. You just ate the teardrops of a mermaid, didn't you, Takepyon? Yeah, I did. And I'm going to eat more. If you do that, you will end up like the 800-year-old nun. Isn't that Tsugumi? Who? 800-year what? You and I looked at each other. You don't know the story of Yaibukuni, the 800-year-old nun. Do you know what she's talking about, you? Nope, not a clue. Right then, I, Coco, will tell you of the story of the 800-year-old nun. Hey, don't forget the applause. Okay, it starts like this.
昔々、あるところに一人のきゃわゆい娘っ子がおりました。
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful young girl.
年齢は17歳ぐらいで、 椿の花がとってもとっても大好きでした。
Who was 17 years old, and she loved camellia flowers.
娘っ子にはこれまたかっちょいい彼氏さんがいました。
She also had a very handsome boyfriend.
彼氏さんの年齢は多分娘っ子とタメぐらいだと思います。
And he was about her same age. I think he was at least.
ある時、彼氏さんが娘っ子に椿の花をプレゼントしてこう言いました。
Anyway, one day he gave her a camellia flower as a gift and said,
この花、君にあげるよ。
This flower is for you.
まあ、なんて綺麗なお花でしょう。
Oh my, what a beautiful flower this is.
ああ、確かにこの花は美しい。しかし、この花を100万本集めたところで、君の美しさにはかなわないよ。
Yeah, but this flower sure is pretty. But you're even more beautiful. Even a million of these flowers wouldn't be as pretty as you.
あら、嘘がお上手ですのね。
You're such a sweet talker, you.
嘘なんかじゃないさ。本気で言ってるんだよ。
Hey, I'm not trying to flatter you. I'm telling the truth.
彼氏さん。
Oh, sweetheart,
娘っ子ちゃん。
my love.
昼間っから恥ずかしげもなくこんな会話を交わせちゃうくらいに二人は激しく愛し合っていたのです。
They were so passionately in love that they could talk this way in public, and they wouldn't even be embarrassed about it.
さて、そんなある日のこと。
Well, one day,
娘っ子のパパさん、名前をゴン太くんと言いますが、このゴン太くんがブクブクと海の中に潜っていきました。
the girl's dad, his name was Gonta, went diving in the ocean.
なんでそんなことをしたのかっていうと、実は海の中に住んでいるおっさんが、
He did that because this old guy who lived in the ocean was like,
今度うちでパーティーやんだけどさ、ゴン太くんも来ないと招待したからなのでした。
Hey, Gonta, I'm having a home party. Wanna come? And invited him to the party.
ゴン太くんのたどり着いた場所には、これまでに見たこともない立派なお屋敷が建っていました。
Mr. Gonta arrived at the most gorgeous mansion he had ever seen in his whole life.
中に入ると不思議と息をすることができました。
Strangely, he was able to breathe once he got inside.
いやー、よく来たね、ゴン太くん。おっさんのお出迎えです。
Oh, good to see you, Gonta. The old guy welcomed him.
ゴン太くんは豪華なディナーをご馳走になり、楽しいひとときを過ごしました。
Gonta had a gourmet dinner and a wonderful time.
けれど、もう帰らなければならない時刻です。
But eventually it came time for him to go home.
ゴン太くんは言いました。悪いけどおら、そろそろ帰らねばなんねえだ。
Gonta said, I'm real sorry, but I've got to go home soon.
すると、海の中のおっさんは、なんだ、もう帰っちゃうの。残念だな。
The old man who lived under the ocean said, Huh? You're leaving so soon. That's too bad.
家で娘っ子が待ってんだ。近いうちにまた来るでよ。
Daughter's waiting for me at home. I'll come back again sometime. Soon, okay?
そっか。じゃあこれ、お土産に持って帰ってよ。
Well, hey, why don't you take this for a souvenir?
おっさんが手渡したものは、お酒を入れるようなとっくりでした。
The old man handed him a bottle of something that looked like alcohol.
なんだこれ。ゴンタ君は尋ねます。
What's this? asked Gonta.
おっさんはニコニコと笑いながら答えました。
The old man answered with a big smile.
人魚の涙だよ。
It's mermaid tears.
ゴンタ君は家に帰ると、もらったお土産を戸棚の中にしまっておきました。
Gonta went home and hid the souvenir in the cabinet.
で、数日後、事件が起こりました。
And a few days later, an incident took place.
ゴンタ君が家を留守にしてる間に、娘っ子がこっそりと戸棚を開けて、とっくりの中身を飲んじゃったのです。
Gonta wasn't home. His daughter secretly opened the cabinet and drank all the liquid in the bottle.
とっても美味しかったので、娘っ子はその液体をグビッグビッと全部飲み干してしまいました。
It was so delicious that the girl drank the whole thing up.
すると、
And
その時を境にして、娘っ子は一切年を取らなくなってしまいました。
after that, the girl stopped aging at all.
1年経ち、2年経ち、3年経ち、
A year had passed, then 2, and then 3.
5年経ち、10年経ち、20年経っても、娘っ子は美しい姿のままだったのです。
After 5, 10, and 20 years, the girl still was the same beautiful self.
決して老いることのない肉体を、娘っ子は手に入れてしまったのでした。
She had a body that would never age.
いつの時代も不老長寿は人類の夢であり希望ですが、この娘っ子の場合は違いました。
Eternal youth and longevity has always been a dream and a hope for humans, but it wasn't the case for this girl.
娘っ子は我が身の不幸を嘆き、呪いました。
She lamented and cursed her own fate.
なぜなら、大好きだった彼氏さんはどんどん年を取っていくのに、自分は17歳のまま少しも成長しなかったからです。
Because she stayed at the age of 17, but her boyfriend grew older and older.
しばらくして、さらに悲しい出来事が娘っ子を襲いました。
An incident happened that was very sad.
彼氏さんが34歳という若さでこの世を去ってしまったのです。
Boyfriend passed from this world to the next at the tender age of 34.
亡くなる間際、彼氏さんは娘っ子にこう言いました。
Before he died, he said to her,
700年待ってくれ。700年後、再びこの世に生まれ変わり、必ず君のところへ行くから。
For me, for 700 years. After 700 years has passed, I will be reborn into this world and come to you.
娘っ子は泣きました。おいおいおいおいと泣き続けました。
The girl cried and cried. Boy, did she just cry and cry.
やがて、彼氏さんを失った悲しみから、娘っ子はビクニとなり、諸国暗下の旅へと出かけることにしました。
After a while, because she was so sad at losing him, she decided to leave on a long trip.
ビクニというのは、出家した尼僧、女性のお坊さんのことです。
She renounced the material world and decided to live her life as a nun.
ビクニは国々をめぐって病気の人を治し、貧しい人を助け、田畑を耕し、川に橋を架け、行く先々で椿の種をまきました。
The nun traveled around the country. She cursed the sick, helped the well, that was wrong. She cured the sick, helped the poor, did a little farming, built some bridges over rivers, and planted lots of camellia seeds.
椿がすくすくと成長し、花を咲かせる頃になると、 また別の国へと移って行き、困っている人々を助け、
The camellias grew mature, healthy, and started to flower. She would move on to another region and begin all over again, helping those in need.
そんなことを何百年も続けました。
She continued to live that way for hundreds of years.
椿の種をまいたのは、彼氏さんの道しるべにするためです。
The reason she planted camellia seeds was a way of giving directions to her boyfriend in case he came looking for her.
彼氏さんがこの世に生まれ変わってきたとき、自分の居場所がわかるように、ビクには種をまいたのでした。
She planted lots and lots of camellia seeds so that when he was reborn into the world, he would know where she was.
ビクには諦めていませんでした。
She hadn't given up hope.
彼氏さんの言葉をずっと信じ続けていたのです。
She had kept believing the whole time that her boyfriend's words would come true.
そしてついに700年が経ち、ビクには生まれ故郷に戻りました。
Last 700 years passed and she returned to her homeland.
けれども、ふるさとの村にビクニの知っている人は一人もいません。
There wasn't anyone who knew her anymore.
仕方なく、ビクニは村外れの洞窟へ入ることにしました。
With no place to live, she decided to enter a cave on the outskirts of the village.
その入り口近くに、椿の種をたくさんまきました。
She planted many camellia seeds near the entrance.
洞窟に入る前、ビクニは村人にこんなことを言いました。
Before she entered in the cave, she told the villagers,
日の出と日没の頃に、私は鈴を鳴らします。
I will ring a bell at sunrise and sunset.
この鈴の音が聞こえなくなったら、私は亡くなったと思ってください。
If you stop hearing the bell, please just think I have passed away.
それから1年経ち、2年経ち、3年経ち、
A year passed, then 2, then and 3.
5年経ち、10年経ち、20年経っても、彼氏さんは
After
やってきません
5,
でした。
10, and then 20 years, her boyfriend still didn't show up.
30年経ち、40年経ち、50年経ち、
Passed, then 40, and then 50 years passed.
60年経ち、70年経ち、80年経っても、やっぱり彼氏さんはやってきませんでした。
After 60, 70, 80 years had passed, her boyfriend still hadn't shown up.
ビクニが生まれてから800年の年月が流れました。
80 years had passed since she was born.
鈴の音が聞こえなくなりました。
Bell finally stopped ringing.
とうとう最後まで彼氏さんが姿を現すことはありませんでした。
Well, after all that time, her boyfriend had never appeared.
洞窟の前の椿は美しく咲き誇り、その後何年もの間散ることはなかったと言います。
Camellias in front of the cave blossomed beautifully, never wilting for many years.
人々はいつまでも若く美しかったビクニのことを尊び、祈りを捧げ、
People honored this young and beautiful nun and prayed for her.
健康で明るく長生きできるように願いを込めて、
And wished for longevity and happiness.
彼女のことをヤオビクニと呼ぶようになったとさ。
People decided to call her Yaobukuni, or Yaobikuni, the 800-year-old nun.
おしまい。
The end.
じゃなかった。続く。
Not really. It's to be continued.
は
Huh? There's more? Yeah, we haven't gotten to the end of the game yet.
ううん。ココの知ってるお話はこれで終わりなんだけどね。
Well, actually, that's the end of the tale I know.
ひょっとしたらまだ続きがあるかもしれないし。
There might be more to the tale.
どういうこと？
What do you mean? I'm assuming it's like there's an analogy to the game somehow, right? And the game's plot is going to reveal the rest of the tale.
結局、ヤオビクニさんの遺体は誰も確認してないんだよ。
Well, nobody actually found her body.
鈴の音が聞こえなくなったから死んじゃったんじゃないかって思っただけで。
They just figured she was dead because the bell stopped ringing.
もしかしたら日本のどこかの洞窟でまだヤオビクニさんは生き続けているのかもしれないでしょ？
Maybe she's still alive in a cave somewhere in Japan, you know.
未だに彼氏さんのことを待ってると。
Still waiting for her boyfriend? Stupid, there's no way that story is true. It's just an old fairy tale, is all.
そうかな。
I don't know.
ココはほんのちょびっとだけだけど生きてるような気がするんだけどな。
I think she might still be alive somewhere.
私もそう思
Yeah, me too. Oh, come on, you guys
う。
serious?
ねえココ、ヤオビクニっていつ生まれたの？
Hey, Coco, when was this nun born anyway?
詳しくは知らないんだけど今から1300年ぐらい前だって聞いたことがある。
I don't know exactly, but I've heard it was about 1300 years ago. Ooh. In Japan? You see, 1300 years ago, if she were still alive, she'd be 1300 years old.
当たり前のこと言わないでよ。
Look, you don't have to inform us of the obvious. That would be longer than the lifespan of any person in recorded history, spanning all definitions of recorded. Let me put it this way. 1300 years from now would be like 700 AD. That means she would have been living since Nara era, or even before that. That would amaze even Prince Nakano.
何ムキになってるのよ。
What are you so worked up about?
ただの昔話だって言ったのはクラナリじゃない。
You're the one who said it was just an old story, Takeshi. I'm not worked up.
もうクラナリもいい加減大人なんだからさ、わかるでしょ？
You're old enough to know what I'm talking about.
少女の夢をむやみに壊すんじゃないの。
Don't break girls' romantic dreams for no good reason.
ねえココ。
Right, Coco? Yeah. I don't see how that's a romantic dream, but whatever.
ヤオビクニが700歳で洞窟に入ったってことは、それから600年間もひたすら彼氏さんを待ち続けてたってことになるよね。
She entered the cave at the age of 700. So that means she waited for her boyfriend another 600 years, right?
あ、今でも生きてるかもしれないから待ち続けてる。現在進行形か。
Oh, but she might still be alive, so that makes it she is waiting as in the present tense.
とにかく
Anyway,
彼氏さんが椿の花を追い求めてようやく洞窟の縁へとたどり着いたその時、
boyfriend finally arrives at the entrance of the cave, which is overflowing with camellia flowers.
運命の再会が訪れるわけよ。
They'll finally be reunited.
600年間の孤独が報われるわけよ。
The extra 600 years of loneliness will be rewarded.
1300年間の恋が実るわけよ。
The 1300 years old love will be fulfilled.
なんてロマンチックなんでしょう。
How romantic, except that's not how the story goes, you.
ロマンチックか。
Romantic, huh?
ココはロマンチックっていうよりもちょっぴり悲しい気がするな。
I think it's more sad than romantic.
If you haven't noticed this detail, look at Pee-Pee.
だってさ、
Well, I mean,
暗い洞窟の奥で
she's been waiting in this deep, dark cave.
ずーっと彼氏さんが来るのを待ってるんだよ。
Just waiting for her boyfriend for the longest time, you know.
一人ぼっちで待ってるんだよ。
She's been all alone.
寂しくて
So alone and so lonely.
だけど死んじゃうこともできなくて、
But she couldn't die either.
人魚の涙なんて飲まなければよかったのに。
I wish she never drank those mermaid tears.
Hey, Coco. Do you believe that mermaids actually exist?
またそうやって夢のないことを言う。
Jeez, there you go again. You are too practical. Well, if mermaids don't exist, then you can forget about the whole story to begin with.
そんなことないよ。
That's not necessarily true, because you knows about Kyurei, right?
人魚がいてもいなくても話の信憑性とは何の関係もないと思う。
Whether mermaids exist or not doesn't have anything to do with whether or not the story is true. Why
ゴ
not?
ン太くんのもらったとっくりには誰が何と言おうと不老長寿の液体が入ってたの。
Well, it's obvious that the liquid Gonta got from that old man was a longevity potion. I don't care what you say.
それを誰かが勝手に人魚の涙って命名しただけかもしれないでしょ。
They could have named it mermaid ears, right?
つまり不老長寿の液体が実際の人魚の涙である必要はないってこと。
What I'm trying to say is the potion didn't actually have to be made from mermaid teardrops.
例えばここに積まれてるキャンディーの山が実際の人魚の涙じゃないのと同じようにね。
I mean, these candies aren't actual mermaid teardrops. Well, you have a point. So mermaid tears is only the name for that strange liquid, right? Alright, fine, let's skip the whole mermaid business. But you. Think really hard, will you? Do you honestly think that something like eternal youth exists?
思う。
I do, and you will too, you just haven't played that route yet. You have a basis for that belief?
ある。
Yes. Okay, show me then.
望むところよ。
Fine.
ちょっと話はそれるけど、今の八帯国の話、何かに似てると思わない？
This is a little off topic, but doesn't the story of Yaobikuni remind you of something else?
浦島太郎だよ。
I'm talking about the tale of Rip Van Winkle. Rip Van...
太郎？
Winkle.
海の中へと招待されて、立派な屋敷がそこには建ってて、豪華なディナーをご馳走されて、帰りがけにはおみやをもらう。
Well, the father got invited to a party and some kind of alcoholic beverage, right? And got some kind of alcoholic beverage, right?
ここのとこなんか、もうそっくりそのまま浦島太郎じゃない。
That's just like Rip Van Winkle. So what?
だから、要するにこういうこと。
What I'm trying to say is this.
浦島太郎は玉手箱を開けたことによっておじいさんになっちゃったでしょ。
Rip Van Winkle drank the liquor and became a very old man, right?
八帯国は人魚の涙を飲んだことによって不老長寿の肉体を手に入れた。
Yaobikuni drank the mermaid tears and gained a body of perpetual youth that never ages.
そういうことはですな。
And that means that... Oh, I begin to see what you're trying to say. Rip Van Winkle hits the bottle just a little too hard, and when he wakes up 20 years had passed. Just like with that 800-year-old nun. But drinking mermaid tears, she was sent 700 to 800 years into the future. So she didn't actually gain eternal youth, she just slipped through time into the future. So that explains why she stayed 17 years even after 800 years. You think that explains it? Well, it doesn't! There's no such thing as time travel in real life.
ちょっと待って。 話を勝手に進めないでよ。
Hey, wait a second. Don't go jumping to conclusions.
私は一言もタイムスリップなんて言ってないでしょ。
I never said a word about time travel, did I? Yeah, some of them time traveled, some of them didn't age.
私が言いたいのは、玉手箱と人魚の涙との類似性というか、相関関係というか、そういったものについてなの。
I'm just curious about the similarity between dwarven spirits and mermaid tears. Is that German? Is it pronounced Zvarven? I don't know.
玉手箱の中に詰め込まれていたものは、生物の老化を急速に促進する作用を持った気体だった。
The dwarven liquor was actually a solution that rapidly accelerates aging.
とっくりの中に詰め込まれていたものは、生物の老化を極限まで抑制する作用を持った液体だった。
What was in the tears was a solution that slows down aging.
そしてこの2つはともに海中に生息している何者かによって手渡された。
Both of them were handed down from some old guy.
さらにこれらを手渡した人物は海底に建造されたゴージャスな宮殿のような場所に住んでいた。
And both of them were given at a mysterious gathering.
ということは、
So it tells us
玉手箱の煙も人魚の涙も同一人物の手によって、
both dwarven spirits and mermaid tears
あるいは同一の文明によって製造された可能性が極めて高いということになるでしょ。
are possibly made by the same people or the same civilization. Oh, here we go. It tells us
な
that?
るの。
It does.
もしかしたらその宮殿は海底に沈んだ超古代文明の遺跡の一部だったのかもしれないよね。
Well, the castle in Coco's story might have been part of some ruins of an ancient civilization sunken under the ocean.
例えばレムリア文明とか。
For example, the civilization of Lemuria.
レムリア文明には老化をコントロールできちゃうような科学技術があって、
In Lemuria, it is thought they had science and technology that could control aging.
浦島太郎もゴン太くんも何らかの事情によって特別にその宮殿へと招かれることになったんだよ、きっと。
And for some reason, Gonta got invited to the castle.
うんうん。ど
Uh-huh.
う？納得した？
So, are you satisfied? I think that was a pretty random explanation, but that's okay, I guess. I got your point. But you still haven't given me any substantial evidence that eternal use exists. The point of what you just said was basically this. Rip Van Winkle and the 800-year-old nun's dad must have made contact with the lost civilization of Lemuria. Alright then, let's just suppose this assumption was correct. Even if the civilization of Lemuria actually did exist. Nobody knows if they had the technology to control aging, right? There's no way you can prove it. Besides, Lemuria never did and never will exist. Scholar Slater's theory has been proven wrong a long time ago.
スクレーターって何？
What's Slater?
The name of an English zoologist. In the mid-19th century, he noticed that the same species of lemur inhabited in Africa, Madagascar Islands, Asia, and the Indonesian islands. But lemurs can't swim. Well, maybe just a little, but certainly not a long distance. Well, then how could the same kind of lemurs reside in different islands separated by a massive ocean? Schlater thought. That's it. A long time ago, there must have been a great landmass in the Indian Ocean, and these islands must have been connected as one. But in the mid-20th century, the theory of continental drift had been proven, and Slater's theory was ignored after that. A long time ago, all the land on the Earth formed one big continent, which very slowly got broken up, and the continent shifted with the movement of the Earth's crust, or by virtue of plate tectonics, or become the way they are today. And actually, there's so many suggested ways that people would want to combine continents based on rocks and whatever nonsense, that if you go on Wikipedia today, they'll tell you there have been a whole bunch of previous supercontinents. Of course, there's another way to explain that, but so it's like this whole break apart, come back together, break apart, come back together, break apart, come back together, because there's evidence in the Earth's crust that makes you want to put the continents together in all kinds of other different ways than the most immediately obvious one, which is just taking South America and sticking it inside Africa. To be precise, the land masses are still moving even today by a few inches or less every year. So the theory of continental drift, now known to be the fact rather than just theory, So the reason why lemurs exist on different islands can be explained by this theory. And in middle school today, they'll tell you that continental drift and plate tectonics are not interchangeable terms, but whatever. So there, you see, there is no such thing as Lemuria. If there is no Lemuria, there couldn't have been a Lemurian civilization.
あ、そう。
Oh, really? You realize we're in fiction, don't you?
うーん。
You don't say.
悪いけど、私が言ったのは太平洋のレムリア大陸のことなんだよね。
Well, sorry to cut you off when you're just getting started, but the Lemuria I was referring to was in the Pacific Ocean.
日本の浦島太郎がどうしてわざわざマラッカ海峡を渡ってインド洋まで行かなきゃいけないのよ。
Why would a Japanese like Gonta go all the way over to the Strait of Malacca and the Indian Ocean to the Indian Ocean?
レムリア大陸は太平洋にあったの。
Lemuria was located in the Pacific Ocean. In the Pacific Ocean, are you by any chance talking about the continent of Mu?
呼び方なんてどうでもいいのよ。
It doesn't matter what you call it.
かつて太平洋上には超古代文明が存在した。
There used to be an ancient civilization in the Pacific before recorded history.
それをある人はレムリア文明と呼び、ある人はムー文明と呼ぶ。
Some
そんな
people
こ
call
とどっちだっていいじゃない。
some people call it Lemuria. Others call it Mu. It doesn't really matter, does it? Oh, I'm getting a headache. If this Japanese would just be like Mu. I guess you are right. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Whatever you call it, Lemuria or Mu, it never existed anyway.
どうしてそう夢のないこと言うかな。
Why do you have to be so serious?
大人げない。
So childish.
プラナリには想像力ってもんがないの？
Don't you have any imagination, Takeshi? You're the one who's childish. You're 18, right? Grow up, will you? Get real! An ancient civilization before time, perpetual youth and longevity, Rip Van Winkle, 800-year-old nun, and Santa Claus, none of these exist. They're all just fairy
お
tales.
とぎ話のすべてが虚構とは限らないでしょ。
Not all fairy tales are fiction.
中には実話だってあるかもしれないじゃない。
Some of them may be real. Actually, they probably all have something they were based off of that was real and have corrupted into something completely different than that over time. No way.
ある。
Yes way.
少なくとも浦島太郎だけは絶対確実完全無欠に実話だと思う。
Well, I, for one, believe Rip Van Winkle really existed. Oh, you're so sure, huh? Do you have any proof, do you?
もちろん。
Of course. Now let's see it.
望むところよ。
Okay, I'll show you.
浦島太郎はね。
Rip Van Winkle was... What?
浦島太郎は。浦島太郎は。
Rip Van Winkle was... Rip Van Winkle was...
浦島太郎。
Rip Van Winkle was...
太郎。
Winkle was... All of a sudden, you put her hand on her chest and looked like she was suffering. What's wrong?
大丈夫？ナッキュー。
Hey, are you okay, Nakyu?
Pee-pee. Uh-huh.
平気。
I'm okay.
いつものことだから。
It happens all the time. What do you mean all the time? Yu's face had gone pale. Her lips were almost purple and sweat began to run down her forehead. She grabbed her chest with her right. She groaned in a low voice and squatted to the floor. She jabbed her left hand into the mountain of tears. The mermaid tears scattered everywhere, and the pin on top flew into the air.
本当に大丈夫だから。
I'll be alright. She didn't seem alright at all. Her breathing was fast and her body was stiff and shaking. Her facial color almost seemed like that of a corpse. What should we do? Should we leave you here and call for help? No, we don't have any time to lose. To the infirmary. I've got to take her to the infirmary. Coco, I'm going to carry you to the infirmary. So you go ahead and tell everybody what's going on.
わかった。
Okay, I will.
This is really fascinating because you was always the one telling the kid about how she didn't believe in fantasies. But then you, to Takeshi, went on this whole thing insisting on not necessarily believing the fantasies, but like insisting on the value of them. And then she collapsed like the kid. It's like they somehow swap. The infirmary was close, so I could get there in less than a minute if I ran. Before I could think, my feet had already started moving.
くらなり、
Takeshi,
くらな
Takeshi. I kept running in silence. The infirmary was near.
てよ。くらなり、
Hey, Takeshi, you whispered into my ear in a small
浦
voice.
島太郎は、
Rip Van Winkle was.
浦島太郎は、
Rip Van Winkle was. RTFH?
本当に、
He really.
本当、
He really. Now we're the kid. Rip Van Winkle did exist. I screamed out.
アホアホ、
You're so silly.
あれはただのおとぎ話。
It's just a fairy tale. Look, not all fairy tales are
だ
fiction.
からって浦島太郎が実在したとは限らないでしょ。
That doesn't mean that Rip Van Winkle actually existed, does it?
それにね、もしも仮に浦島太郎が実話だったとしても、少年のこととは何の関係もないじゃない。
Besides, even if the tale of Rip Van Winkle was real, that has nothing to do with you, kid. It does too. We're talking about whether people could actually travel through time, right?
だからわからんやっちゃな。
That's what I mean, don't you get it?
タイムスリップが現実に起こるものだとしても、少年がタイムスリップしたことにはならないって言ってるの。
I'm saying even if someone could actually travel in time, that doesn't mean you did. Then how come I can see the future?
そんなこと私に聞かれてもわからないってば。
Don't ask me, how should I know? It has to be because I'm experiencing the same moment in time over and over again. I must have been stuck in Lamu in the past also. 3 days passed and then 4, 5 days, and after that I must have slipped through time for some reason. Meaning I must have traveled back in time to the moment I fell into that pond. That must be why I can look into the future. Now, we're on to the second now. You have to move on from the first game, kid, and you get to move on to the second game. No, I mean I must be remembering things I've already experienced in the past instead of looking into the future to be exact. I don't know how, but I'm probably carrying memories of the past.
ふーん、じゃあそうなんじゃない？
Really? Well, that must be it then. Oh, come on. I'm being serious here.
悪いけどね、私にはもっと切実で深刻な問題があるの。
I'm sorry, but I've got far more serious, urgent problems.
考えなきゃいけないことが山ほどあるの。
I've got tons of things to think about.
知ってるでしょ、少年だって。
You know what I'm talking about, kid?
理由はともかくとして、少年は予知をすることができる。
I don't know what the reason is, but you can predict the future.
いいじゃない、別に予知ができたって。
So what?
あって困るような特殊能力でもないし、むしろあった方が便利だと思うけど。
It's not like it's a bad ability to have. As a matter of fact, I can imagine that it would really come in handy. You make it sound so simple, but in my case, I don't think it is the ability to see the future. I'm pretty sure I traveled through time. I might even be repeating the same moment in history over and over again. And that's what's more, I'm pretty sure that the amnesia has something to do with the time travel.
もう何回言わせれば気が済むのよ。
Look, how many times do I have to tell you?
タイムスリップなんてものは絶対に不可能なんだってば。
Time travel is not possible.
それから記憶喪失のことだけど、時間が経てば必ず元通りになるの。
And as far as your amnesia, I'm sure you'll regain your memories in time.
実際もう思い出しかけてるじゃない。
You're already beginning to remember things,
っ
right?
ていうか、 ほとんど思い出してるんでしょ？
I mean, you've actually remembered most everything, haven't you? Not everything. I just remember things about Sarah. Just childhood memories. I still don't have any memories from the last few years. I have no idea how I got to Lamu, why, or with whom. I still don't remember anything before May 1st, the day I came to Lamu. Where was I, where I was, what I was doing, or who I am.
はあ。
Huh?
ちょっと待って。
Wait a second.
少年はマヨのお兄ちゃんなんだよね。そのことはちゃんと思い出したんだよね。
You're Mayo's brother, right? You did remember that, don't you? Yeah.
だったらさすがに自分が誰なのかぐらいわかるはずじゃない。
So you at least have to know who you are. But I don't. How can I explain this? If someone were to ask me, who are you, all I could say is, I'm Sara Matsunaga's brother. I don't know any other way to answer. Then all of a sudden... You raised your voice and pointed her finger at me.
そういえば大事なこと聞き忘れてた。
That reminds me, I keep forgetting to ask you something important. Something important?
名前よ、名前。
Name, your name.
少年のまへ。
Name, kid.
マヨから聞いたんでしょ？
Mayo told you, didn't she?
聞いたんだよね。
You did ask her, didn't you?
聞いてないの？
You haven't asked her your name? No, I haven't. You shook her head, looked up at the ceiling, and chewed on her lips. She clenched her fist, went to shake it into the air, then rethought, and pulled it back down. You then proceeded to stomp around in a puddle of water. She crouched down and hopped up swiftly. She took a deep breath. I thought she was going to blow it out, but she continued to take in one long breath in. Then she said,
あんたバカじゃないの？
Are you stupid or what? Her voice was so loud it shook Lamu like an earthquake. I was a little frightened that it would tear the partition walls.
どうして真っ先に自分の名前を聞かないのよ？
That's the first thing you should ask her before anything else. Well, you probably wouldn't understand this, but Sarah and I had so much else to talk about. We had endless things to talk about, and I just didn't have the presence of mind or chance to think about myself. For us, the first priority was to regain the time we had lost. And to be honest, I could care less about my name.
あのね、少年、よく考えてみて。
Listen, kid, just think about it.
自分の名前よ。気にならないの？
It's your name, aren't you curious to know? Now that you've brought it up, I'm starting to wonder. When I was talking to Sarah, it didn't even flash through my mind. You sighed with an exaggerated gesture. Well, just put yourself in our position, you. Sarah and I saw each other for the first time in 9 years. We were just so happy, caught up in the memories. But on the other hand, we were scared, in pain, and our hearts ached. All these emotions were mixed up and jumbled together and came flooding over us. Sarah and I were overwhelmed just trying to understand one another. Like I said, names didn't seem so important at that time. She just called me brother, and I just called her Sarah. Do you understand?
全然わからない。
No, not at all. You said that and started to walk off. Hey, wait a second, where are you going? Splashing water, you walked down the long, straight corridor. I tagged along beside her and asked her again. Hey, where are you going?
マヨに聞きに行くの。
I'm going to ask Mayo. What?
決まってるじゃない。少年の名前を。
Well, hello, your name, of course, kid. Look, you don't have to do that.
なんでよ。
Why not?
君さ、さっきから言ってることが噛み合ってなくない？
What you've been saying doesn't make sense.
完全に記憶を取り戻したいんでしょ？自分が誰なのか知りたいんでしょ？
Don't you want to regain your full memory? Don't you want to know who you are? Of course I do, but...
じゃあ、予知だのタイムスリッパだの、口頭無形なきテレツ話をする前にさ。
Oh, then instead of talking about stupid, outrageous things like seeing the future or time travel...
マヨに名前を聞くのが一番手っ取り早いじゃない。
Don't you think it's just faster to ask Mayo? I thought back briefly to the sight of myself in that mirror. I had been so confused at that time because my face didn't look like my face. If the same thing happened when Sarah told me my name, I was afraid that I might feel like my name wasn't really my name and end up all confused again. To tell the truth, it was a bit scary. Besides, is a name really all that important? What? Look, names have just a way people give themselves to make identifying one another more convenient. It's just for convenience, so while living without a name certainly has its own challenges, I don't think a name is an absolute necessity. Take dolphins. They are highly intelligent creatures, but they don't go around calling one another by name. And they seem to be getting along just fine. They seem to be able to identify one dolphin from the others too. They know which one is a son, which one is a wife, and the difference between a gray whale and a killer whale. They don't have names, yet they can recognize things correctly. And this is just a speculation, or speculation, or however you would say that typo, but they seem to recognize individual identities. A dolphin seems to have its own sense of self separate from that of the dolphin swimming next to it, and it is aware that it is a separate entity. They don't have to depend on names to recognize all these things. My name is James, this one next to me is Ling Ling, and that one chasing after a fish is Yumei. I don't think they do that. It may sound kind of cocky, but sometimes I feel humans depend on names too much. If one day this girl you've known as Ling Ling tells you, oh, by the way, my name is Lang Lang, wouldn't that throw you off? Yes, because Lang Lang only practices 4 hours a day. It doesn't cause confusion, and you might think, Ling Ling and Lang Lang are really similar, but they're probably just two different people. It seems stupid to get confused just because of a name. Meaning people value, trust, and depend on names, more than the actual individual differences. I bet dolphins don't think like that. Because to begin with, they don't have names to identify individuals. Why don't we just identify people with numbers then? I am person number 7321461. I realized that for the first time once I lost my name. I noticed that a name really isn't all that important. You didn't stop walking. I couldn't tell whether she was listening to me or not, because she didn't respond to me at all. Hey, are you listening to me? As we turned a corner, I asked her.
聞いてるよ。聞いてる。
Yep, I'm listening, I'm listening.
考えてたの。今の少年の話。
I've been thinking about what you were just saying.
確かに、少年の言ってることもわかるような気がするの。
I feel like I understand what you mean.
特に私は自分の名前にコンプレックスを持ってるから、そういうこと結構今までいろいろと考えてきたんだよね。
You know, I've had a complex about my name for a long time, and I've actually thought quite a lot about this issue. I don't understand this at all. If my name was Yubi Saiharu Kana, I wouldn't mind. Complex? Yeah. You don't like your own name, you?
嫌いよ、もちろん。
Of course I don't. Why?
恥ずかしいから。
I'm embarrassed about
こ
it.
の世の中には自己紹介なんていう伝統的な風習があるでしょ。
People introduce themselves to one another when they meet, right?
私クラス替えのたびに憂鬱で憂鬱で仕方なくて。
Every time a new year at school would start, I would just cringe. Oh. I murmured. I remember you said something about your full name being much longer, right?
うん。
Yeah. Well, would that have something to do with the fact that you don't like your name?
関係があるっていうか、それこそが直接の原因。
Something to do with it. That is why I don't like it. You stopped walking. She had a bitter smile on her
知り
face.
たい？
Do you want to know? What?
君にはまだ教えてなかったもんね。私
I
の
still-
フルネーム。
I still haven't told you my full name yet. I guess.
絶対笑わないって誓ってくれる？
Will you promise that you won't laugh? Sure.
それじゃあ教えてあげよ
Okay, I'll tell
う。
you.
私の本名は
My name is
田中
Tanaka
優美生秋かな。
Yubisei Akikana. What?
優しく美しく清らかな秋香る菜の花。
It means gentle, beautiful, pure, autumn, fragrant, green blossom. What? Yubisai Akikana? All of a sudden, it was as if I felt a heavy thud in the bottom of my heart. A strange feeling started to take over my body, a sense of something out of place. That's it, that's right. I must have known Yu's real name. Wait, but I never heard it from you directly. What is going on? This is just like the situation with Sara. I already knew Yu's real name from before. Yu's real name was... Your real name is... Yubisai Haru Kana.
は？
What? You said it wrong, didn't you? You actually meant to say Haru Kana, right?
自分の名前を言い間違える人なんていないと思うけど。
Look, I don't think I'd say my own name incorrectly.
まあ、私としては春でも秋でもどっちでもいいんだけどね。
Well, Haru or Aki, either one is fine with me.
でも、一応戸籍上は秋になってるわけだし。
Birth certificate, it says Aki. No.
こへ？
What? Your full name has to be Yubisei Haru Kana. It's not Aki. Why are you laughing about? This isn't funny at all. You don't remember your own name.
うん、そうかもね。
Yeah, that just may be it.
私の本当の名前は、リンリンだったっけ？それともランランだったっけな。
My real name is... Oh, was it Ling Ling? No, wait, maybe it was Lang Lang.
あのね、少年。よく聞いてね。
Kid, listen up.
私の名前は、優美生秋かな。
Name is Yubisei Akikana.
生まれた時からそうだったし、これからもずっとこの名前を背負って生き続けていくんだと思う。
It's been that way since I was born, and it will be that way as long as I live.
いい？
You got it?
春でも夏でも冬でもなくて秋なの。
It's neither Haru, nor Natsu, or Fuyu, but Aki.
なんでか知ってる？
Do you know why?
私は今から18年と7ヶ月前に生まれたの。
I was born 18 years and 7 months ago.
正確に言うと7ヶ月とちょっとだけどね。
A little more than 7 months to be exact.
誕生日は9月22日。
My birthday is September 22nd. That's 9/22, okay?
出生地は日本。
I was born in Japan.
別に南半球で生まれたわけじゃないんだよ。
I wasn't born in the southern
9
hemisphere.
月って日本では春だっけ？
Let's see, was September spring in Japan?
秋だよね。
No, it's autumn, isn't it?
だから私は秋かななの。わかった？
So my name is Akikana. Aki is in autumn. You got that? I was really starting to lose my sense of reality. A bottomless fear crept up from the bit of my stomach that threatened to leap out of my throat. My head started to ache. And then...
お兄ちゃん、ナッケ先輩！
But Oni-chan, not you, senpai. I glanced as I put my hand on my temple. Splashing water in all directions, Sara came towards us.
あ、ちょうどいいところに。
Good timing.
ちょうどいいところ？
Good timing. Sara stood in front of us, tilting her head quizzically.
実はマヨに聞きたいことがあったの。
Actually, I had a question for you, Mayo.
何ですか？聞きたいことって。
What is it?
少年の名前。
The kid's name.
彼の本名教えてほしいんだ。
Will you tell me his real name? You put her hand over my shoulder. I knew her hand was touching my shoulder, but I couldn't feel it. I was dizzy and about to faint. I thought to myself this'll probably be a lot easier if I just faint. But both my feet stood soundly on the floor and I braced myself. I looked at Sara. Sara's mouth opened up like an empty hollow. I couldn't hear her voice. I saw Sara's lips were moving, but I couldn't hear her voice for some reason. I couldn't hear Yu's voice either. All I could hear was just the sound of my blood flowing through my ears. In that moment, my sight crashed into pieces. The scenery before me stripped of all color. A voice, a voice, a voice. I heard a voice from afar, from faraway darkness. Somebody whispering to me. Who are you? Who am I? Who am I?
北斗。
Hokuto.
お兄ちゃんの名前は北斗だよ。
Your name is Hokuto.
へえ、北斗か。
Hakuto. Hokuto, huh?
うんうん。なるほど。
So that's what he's
言
called.
われてみれば、確かに北斗って感じかも。
Now that you mentioned it, he does look kind of like a Hokuto to me. Hokuto. That is my name?
そうだよ、お兄ちゃん。
That's right, Oni-chan. Hokuto. 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 I repeated aloud over and over again. Hokuto. 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 My hunch had been right. I had never heard the name Hokuto before. Hokuto, that couldn't possibly be my name. It didn't feel real to me at all. But Sara wouldn't lie to me. So I figured Hokuto must be my name. Hokuto. 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 Name, name, name. Yu's name is Yubisai Akikana. My name is Hokuto. There was too much to think about. I felt as if I was close to my mental limit. These names probably have meanings in Japanese, and that would probably give me a whole lot more. Like, if I knew what Hokuto meant, that would help me out. I wonder if Google Translate will do something for me here. So I'm going to do Hokuto, but it's going to be romanized, so... Oh, it gives me the kanji. Oh, I recognize the first one. Oh, dear. Um... It's really hard to look up like the kanji because they're weird specialized syllables. Maybe I can Google it. Numerous, and then the first one I should recognize, but I'll probably. Oh yeah, right. That is north. So it's north followed by many or numerous. Grain container. Cup or dipper. So Hokuto is north. Is Big Dipper? Like northern constellation, the Big Dipper? Huh. Okay. Doesn't really tell me much. I was dizzy. My head ached. I looked at my palm. I had 5 fingers. Everything seemed out of place to me. I still couldn't regain the real me. Is this me who's looking at my palm, or is it somebody that isn't me? Is a Hokuto really me, or is it the me who's not Hokuto? Hokuto, Hokuto, Hokuto. Is it really? Is that really his name? Tsugumi slightly nodded her head. Her face was all red. So you're Chammy, because you're charming. That's cute. What a good name. And I'm going to end it here. So I'll just end it here. No choices since the last save, or the save before that. We haven't had choices in a very long time. Right, this is... Yeah, the last choice was this one, was the one about Jewel Chocolate. So very, very railroaded here. Okay. Return to title. Yes. Skip the intro. Look at the unlocks. Nothing new here. Still have that one missing. It's just a repeat of the previous one. That one's still missing. Still full. That's the only new CG, I believe, from this. So that one got skipped. I think I might know how you get it. Nothing new there, and nothing new there. Okay. That missing Coco CG probably is in this scene. Wait, not that scene. That's the wrong one. This scene here, which you probably get by making a different choice. Instead of going to the warehouse with Sar, you go look for you in like the control room or something. That's probably how you get this. Cool. So, Tears of a Nun, Mark of Original Sin. Don't know how that relates to Adam and Eve. Oh well, it's just when it's supposed to sound a certain way. Still got a lot of scenes left. A lot of gameplay time left. Okay.